Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and we have another episode with Tina Lopez. And I know some of you do not enjoy doing social media. In fact, you think, oh my gosh, I hate this. But social media is so essential. I was having a conversation with someone recently, and he works for a person that is not doing very well in his business because he is not up with the times, and he thinks that social media is not the way to go. So we're going to delve in and find out why you do need social media and content, and maybe find out how to, if you don't enjoy it, get somebody else. So Tina, why don't we start by you introducing yourself?
So yeah, my name is Tina. I help creators automate their content, traffic, and income. I've spent the past 3 years building an automated content business. So if you're someone who knows that they need to be on social media, but is kind of getting a little bit tired of it, then I'm kind of the person who really helps you how to build a sustainable, profitable business without, having to be on social media 24/7, but still get the benefits of it.
I love that. So what type of industries, and this is, I can already answer my own question, but what type of industries do you think people need content creation for?
So I think there's, content creation, it's interesting because when we think about like the story of marketing, back in the day, like social media wasn't a thing, right? Like you had like your newspaper ads and all those different types of ways of like kind of grassroots marketing. And so when I think about nowadays, it's almost like you need social media as kind of like for everything, right? And so it's just a different form of marketing, but it's the same element of contacting your potential audience, right? And so, social media, I think, is an added channel that's valuable, especially if you want to reach people on the masses, maybe in some ways that like traditional marketing of like a newspaper ad can't really fulfill, right? And so social media is like, when I think about the industry, it's like really anyone who wants to tap into an audience online, any business, that's really where social media comes into play. I personally help content creators because we're on social media pretty much all the time, a little too much at times, but that's kind of like the niche that I've like really realized that I really want to help creators.
Mm-hmm. So what type of social media avenues do you work with? And well, answer that, and I'm going to ask you another question.
So it's kind of interesting, and maybe like we let on a little bit with the intro, but like I love social media from all the elements of like being able to generate traffic and build, kind of an audience and a brand and things like that. But when I think about my business, actually, like building the automated content business, I've been surprised that like social media is not my main revenue or lead driver. It's actually something where like when you think about building a business and the way that I've built it, like you really want to identify what is the purpose of social media. Like for me, it's like truly just to build a brand, drive awareness, but that is more of like an additional traffic channel to get leads, but it's not the highest return on time traffic channel, in my opinion, right? And so the only reason why I post on social media is really, again, to build that brand, to build awareness. Like, so if anyone searches me up and you're like, oh, who's Tina Lopez? Then like you'll see the content, you'll see that branding element that I've really created for these past couple of years. But when you ask me like where do my leads coming from, it's actually coming a lot from collaborations, from actually old school marketing of really just, again, collaborations, working with partners, working with different people. And I found that like my highest quality leads truly do come from some avenue of like collaboration.
And I cannot stress that enough. And people think, oh, I'm just going to sit in my office and I'm not going to get out there. I'm not going to do anything. But you have to network and collaboration. They also call it JV partners, because if you can get an influencer, somebody that has a big audience, you go on their podcast, you go on their whatever, or if they just promote. A good example I was watching yesterday, I was watching the news, which I never do. But this girl came on and she's some local, she just puts recipes out there. That's all she does. She has this food blog and she posts and posts and posts. And Jennifer Gardner got up on her social media and is like, oh my gosh, I love this recipe and I love this place. I always go here for stuff. And then all of a sudden, she said literally in like a couple hours, her social media, Instagram, like grew by 20,000 people. And so,
Hmm.
I mean, that's the type of stuff that you have to think about. It's yes, it's consistency and yes, it's putting stuff out there, but to grow and to get more revenue, you've got to reach out to other people and have them promote.
Yeah, I honestly wholeheartedly agree with this. And the reason why I'm so important, like, you know, building this automated content business for the past 3 years, like I kind of thought like social media was like the number one thing like you need to do. And I've automated social media to a point, but the interesting thing and the reason why I say like don't put all your eggs in social media is because last year, actually, one of the largest social media platforms that I'm on, like, they actually flagged my account for some stupid reason, and like, it was a complete accident on their end. And, I kind of just realized, like, if I didn't respond to them, then they were gonna close the account. And so I kind of just realized, like, if they do close that, then basically a business can be like turned off within a day, right? Or within the click of a button. And that really terrified me, right? Because like my background is in finance and I've learned the power of like diversification. And so if anything, that lesson really came through like on that day because I just realized like, wow, like all the revenue streams that I spent the past 2 years building, like it would be gone within the click of a button. That's when I realized like, okay, there needs to be a way for me to build this business, still generate leads without relying on social media. And that's where like the joint ventures come in, the collaborations come in, to grow my email list, right? Because my email list is where, a lot of people would say email is dead, but I am quite the contrary. Like email is booming and it's still alive. And honestly, like I would say like a very large chunk of my revenue comes through email. But the point that I wanted to make is that ever since I've done collaborations, like my authority has gotten a lot stronger because when we think about the type of people I'm collaborating with, like they have their own audiences, right? So that natural, high level authority that maybe the person that I'm collaborating with that they built with their audience kind of in some ways translates to me as well, right? Because if they're recommending me, they're recommending one of my freebies and we're collaborating in some element, like that kind of trust, like no factors, some ways gets passed to me. And like I'm so grateful that people even consider working with me because I have that like no trust factor and I can also pass that on to, them as well. So we kind of like it's kind of like this win-win scenario, right? Where like I get to expose myself to a different audience, they get to expose themselves to my audience, and in some elements, like the audience itself gets more value, right? And so I've realized like if you really want to succeed in business, like you really do need to kind of emphasize win-win scenarios for all parties involved. And it isn't until like I actually thought about that and I actually implemented that, like that the business has really grown because of it.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to ask this no-brainer, but to probably you and I, but if I'm just starting out and I really hate social media and I know I need to business, but now that you have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have what else? Like, you name it. There's all these different things. What do you recommend for somebody that's just starting out? Like, should they be on all of these things or what is your recommendation?
So I'm a big believer in creating content once.
Yeah.
I'm also a big, this might be like unpopular opinion, but I'm not a person who will tell you to write every day, to post every day, to do all that stuff, to trade consistency for your mental sanity in some elements, right? And honestly, sometimes when you listen to big girls, they say like you just gotta keep going, doesn't matter what. And so my kind of recommendation is if you are just starting out, I'm thinking about like don't even think about the platform that you're on. Think about the medium that you like to create content with, right? So for me, like I'm a writer. Like I love writing. And so like I don't mind video. I can do video, but like it's not something that comes naturally to me. Like I love to write. I can just be in my PJs and write a whole article and
Mhm.
like one and done, right? But if you're someone who likes to talk and likes to like, be animated and talk on like video and stuff like that, then YouTube might make more sense, right? And so when we think about like the platform, start with the medium and then figure out the platform to go with that, right? And so for me, I'm a writer. I am really leveraging Medium, Twitter, LinkedIn, those types of platforms, all writing based platforms, right? But this is the second element of creating content right once, right? And so if I created one long form piece of content, it would be a shame like if it didn't go on other platforms, right? And so, I'm not trying to be salesy with this, but like I actually did create a content repurposing automation in my business. It's called our daily content generator. It's $9. Literally, like I made it a no-brainer because one of the things that I'm sincerely frustrated with in the industry is like trading consistency for mental sanity, trading, this element of writing every day. And I think it's not necessary. And so my goal with this daily content generator is to solve creator burnout and not let money be something that like is really something you need to consider. It's really like $9. But basically what this generator does is since I have a content library, this can work with both podcasters, YouTubers, as well as bloggers, writers, things like that. So long as you can create your content and get
Yeah.
extract some like text element, that's what's most important. And so I put it in this content library. I have 2 years worth of content and I don't want it to go stale. So what this daily content generator does is it's literally a plug and play automation. It takes a random piece of content within the library and I leverage AI and automation in this no code workflow to
Wow.
repurpose it to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to YouTube Shorts, to IG Reels, all these different platforms so that I only created content once, right? But
Mhm.
my repurposing automation goes out every single day so that I'm still catering to the algorithms. I'm still posting onto all the social media platforms. I'm still getting the benefit of being on 5+ platforms without actually me doing the work and without me actually feeling, burnt out. And so that's my strategy.
So that was going to be my next question is how much should somebody pay somebody to do their content?
Well, so when it comes to doing content, I don't think you can really outsource or automate like the source of creativity. Like that truly is you. And so the way that I do content and my way is not the best way, right? Some people write every day. I can't do that. I'm a person who likes to batch my content and just write
Mhm.
and let it all go out on its, schedule and things like that. But in terms of like how much a person should pay, like one of the reasons why I create this daily content generator at $9 is because it's truly like it should not be like something that costs you a lot in terms of creating and repurposing content. And I know some creators who have have been in this industry for a while, they pay like upwards of like $2,000 a month for like a content agent to do all that stuff. Where like, when I think about the software that I use to accomplish pretty much close to or not
Mhm.
or really just exactly like that. It's only $80 a month, right? But the automation itself in terms of me teaching everything is $9 a month or not $9 a month, but $9 like for the workflow itself and then that will hold all the course material. And then when it comes to the software and the fixed costs, it's only $80 a month. Unless like software's change, but even then, so like if it's less than $100 a month, that's completely fine so
Mhm.
long as you don't outsource like the source content, which is your creativity. Like I
Right.
write all my articles, but I
Mhm.
let AI and automation repurpose them accordingly.
That is so fantastic. Absolutely going to go check out your website because, it really is something where, yeah, it's vital and it's important, but I'm not one that's like, oh, I got to do this today,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
well, and especially because I'm in so many different things that, that's something else they recommend that you just get to one Charisse Walker type thing. And that way they can go to there and then go out from there. But if you have like Unbreakable Mompreneurs and then my real estate business and then this, my real estate coaching, it is hard to stay up with it on a daily basis. And so, do you recommend like I just take everything and put it to one, like Charisse Walker, and keep it there? Or do you recommend that no, it's for this, it's for this? Like, what do you recommend?
So that really comes to the element of like, are you building a personal brand or are you building like a business as its own separate entities, right? And so like if you're building a personal brand and your content pillars are real estate, the podcasts and all these other things that Unbreakable Mompreneurs, like then, personal branding makes sense to
Mhm.
put it all as one, right? But if you want each one of them to stand on its own, then I'm going to highly recommend you kind of create them separately. And literally, it's just like three automations do the same thing, but different content libraries that it's pulling from, right? And so the reason why I also think about this is because I've been thinking a lot about like, what is the lifespan of like a creator business, right? Like when we think about the lifespan of a creator business, it may not be that long. Usually it's a short lifespan, and this is where, I'm also into real estate personally, right? Like this is where I'm taking like my profits and I'm investing it in like multifamily units, all these different areas in my other life to kind of hedge the risk of, my creator business, right? But that's a different strategy. But my reason why I say about and talk about lifespan is because if you are creating these three entities as its own, it really helps like the post sale value, right? Like people
Mhm.
can't buy your personal brand, but they can buy the business, right? And so you want to create some type of business where it's not fully dependent on you. And this is why I'm such a big believer in building like an automated content business. Like I used to come from the coaching space. Now I'm into content creation. The reason why I do that is because I didn't want a large team. I really don't want to be the bottleneck in the business where like the business can run on its own fully without my presence, and that is the goal. And so really when we think about like scalability, like my goal for me is not to be involved, but to let it run on its own. And
Mhm.
so this may be a little bit deeper, but that's like my
Oh,
high level.
great. That's fantastic. See, and I think that that's where, I mean, when you're starting a business or when you have a business, you really do have to decide, Stephen Covey, begin with the goal at the end in mind, because how do you want to end this? And I love that you talked about it's not saleable or because it's a brand versus a company. And that's something else you have to decide is, okay, if I do want to sell this business, then how am I going to structure this and what do I want to do? And so, I mean, you really have encompassed a lot. And then you briefly touched on something where you said that you do real estate, and I 100% agree with multifamily investing. For many reasons, different podcasts, but you have multiple streams of income that is coming in, which
Mhm.
is probably from your finance background that you got that.
Yeah, it's from my finance background, diversification. But
But
I also I'm such a planner in my life personally that like I love this like this concept business is coming from like a personal mission. Like I have two missions in life.
mhm,
One is to help, entrepreneurs build generational wealth, and the
mhm,
second one is to help those same entrepreneurs to have the time to enjoy that wealth, right? Because anybody can teach you how to make money. Like money is not hard to make. And if it is hard to make, then I would question maybe some mindset things that you need to work through, right? Like literally, I was in New York this past weekend and somebody told me that they sold airspace, like space above a building for like $200 million. I'm like, if you can sell air, then you can pretty much sell anything, right? And
oh my,
it was crazy. But my point in saying that is like a lot of people can teach you how to make money, but not a lot of people can teach you how to have the time to enjoy that, right? Because when you think about all these big gurus, like they say like outsource a team, hire these large expenses, like and it's to a point where it's like, well, why am I doing all this? Like, am I doing this because like I just want to hit some vanity metric, or like am I doing this because I really want to do it, right? And so when I think about my intentions for this business, like it really does, like I don't want to be the bottleneck. I don't want to be have
mhm,
to be involved in the day-to-day activities, but it is not a large expense. Like literally like my expenses are within like the very low three figures, but I'm pulling in multiple like thousands of dollars
mhm,
because I think about the goal. The goal is I want to be able to make money without it requiring my time so that I can actually have time to enjoy my life. Because time is one of those things that you can never get back in life. And so parking money, not only in just like creating money from the business and having that money for myself, I'm investing it in different areas of my life, whether it be like my, stocks or my index funds or real estate, other things, because
mhm.
money loves to make more money.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's something that you're not even talking about that if it's $9 a month, that means it's a membership. And so if it's a membership, you have recurring revenue every single month. And so like the key to a business that can become sellable is you have a business when you have recurring income that's coming in that you can count on every single month. And yeah, people cancel, but more people add. And so you go back and forth. So you have passive income that's coming in constantly that as long as you continue to deliver, people are going to continue to subscribe. And so that's something that if you have a business, you really do need to think, how can I create a membership?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
this.
I haven't created a membership yet. The product is $9, but it is something that I'm mulling over. Because although I do make a good chunk of change from like the way that I have my passive income streams are digital products, affiliate products, and
Mhm.
newsletter referrals. These are all passive elements in the business.
Right.
I I am like really teeter-tottering this idea of like what do I want to create that's recurring, that provides high value but requires very low energy on my part.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard question. Not many people have answers to it. So that's what I'm figuring out. That's the challenge that I'm figuring out right now.
Okay, let me clarify when you said it. So it's $9 a month or just $9 total?
$9 flat for the daily content generator. Like I know, like it's I recently went to a creator conference and I was telling people about this and they're like why is this so cheap? And then like maybe this is an insight into me personally, but like I am such a believer in like healing creator burnout because I've been burnt out twice. In one in the coaching business
Mm-hmm.
and one in the content business because the big problem with creators is the sheer amount of content you have to create. And so like I truly created this no-brainer offer because it really for me it's bigger, like the mission is bigger. Like I do make a good chunk of change from the product itself, but like it's not life-changing money, right? But but it does change lives. Like I had an author who recently took the course and, created the whole automation in her business. And she's like, wow, Tina, like the fact that I'm saving costs on labor is huge for her. And the fact that she's able to get her time back, like that is the testimonial that I'm striving for. That is the goal that I'm solving. And that is the mission, which is the second mission of helping those same entrepreneurs have the time to enjoy that wealth. So,
You
yeah.
really are passionate, I can tell, and like you have a giving spirit. And so like kudos to you. Um, Here's a tidbit. Maybe you should think about a membership where they do it, every single.
So I'll give you a little bit of insight, and maybe this is a little teaser. I'm always a big believer in pre-selling. Like I don't sell anything without getting paid up front. But an
Mhm.
idea that I've been mulling over is figuring out how to turn that daily content generator into some type of recurring offer. And so, I've sold over 130 plus students into the daily content generator. And, I think this is a common thing that happens when you buy digital products. And me as a purchaser myself is like sometimes you hang them up on the digital shelf wall, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna get back to it. I bought it, but it's one of those things that I need to spend the time.
All those books up there, same thing with all the course content that's digital. Yep, yep.
Exactly. And I really do want to like solve this mission of creator burnout, but the $9 offer is a no-brainer offer, but like I want to create some type of upgraded experience where like some kind of like done for you monthly element where like if you're already burnt out, you probably don't have the capacity to create it or spend the time to create it. You may have bought it because that's something you want to do on your to-do list, but if you don't create it, then you're really missing out the whole point of buying it in the first place, right? And so one of the things I've been thinking about is like how maybe I do some done for you recurring offer where like we implement it on our systems,
Mhm.
take care of the costs and things like that, but you just pay us one monthly fee. And if any, you don't have to deal with the setup, you don't have to deal with the implementation or the technology or anything like that. If
Mhm.
errors do come about, that's what that monthly fee covers. Will cover the maintenance and the actual like running of the whole automation itself. And so I've actually just today created the pre-sale emails, so we'll see how that goes. But it's something that I'm tabling right at the moment.
No, I love that. And one other thing I wanted to go back to that we didn't talk too much about, but you mentioned email lists because your account could have been shut down. And I think that when we are creating the content, we need to be sending them to a third party sort like our website. And that's where we
Mhm.
have the email because you're right. I can't tell you how many friends of mine and colleagues have had their account shut down and like never to be recovered type thing. And
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
thousands of emails that they've lost out on. And so that's something where, yes, create the content on that platform, but send them somewhere else so that you can keep that email. So, and yes, email is not dead.
No, it's not dead. And honestly, I've been so I always like to run like case studies or
Mhm.
sorry, experiments and then I turn them into case studies. Like I like to maybe people will not agree to this, but like I like to use my business as an experiment and then report on it to my audience. So I this past in Q1, I 15 times our revenue, decreased expenses by 25%. And I was thinking to myself, how did that happen? And I have very concrete goals that I want to accomplish this year, and it's very specific. I don't have more than 3 goals this year.
Mhm.
And the great thing about simplifying, because there's a difference between having a goal and a to-do list. Sometimes people like to have goals and they're just this long ever to-do list, and I just think like that defeats the point of a goal. But anyways, the goal has done 2 things for me. It's allowed me to simplify what I want to do, but also more importantly, tell me what I don't want to do. And I've realized like I have a lot of doing, especially when I was in the beginning of Q1, that that didn't fulfill the goal. And so this is where I was able to decrease expenses because I'm like, if this is not serving the goal, I'm not going to pay for it, right? And this other element of like, I wanted to test and see if I posted less on social media, if I didn't write every day, if I didn't post every day, what would actually happen? And surprisingly, revenue went up. Well, I'm thinking to myself, like, well,
Interesting.
where did it come then from? Like if social media is not the driver for leads in my business, and I did this whole analysis, I always like quarterly to look at my metrics and stuff like that. Where did it come from? It came from email because what I replaced the experiment that I was like, what if I posted less on social media, but I posted more on email, right? I have
Yeah.
less of a social media or less of a email audience. No, sorry. Less of a social media audience and my email audience is about the same or a little bit higher, right, than my social media platform. So my social media is very like I think I have like 500 followers on like Instagram or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not really coming. The leads are not coming from there. And it's interesting, when I emailed more is when my business actually started coming up a lot higher in revenue. And it's kind of like interesting, right? Because a lot of people will tell you post more on social media, and I disagree with that sentiment because if you've taken the time
Mhm.
to transfer that rented audience from social media to your own audience with your email list,
And
why would you stop?
she said rented audience to your own audience. So keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Like, why would you not contact them? Like, people are telling you, like, grow your list, grow your list. Like, great, you grow your list out. Like, the second part is like to reach out to them, to talk to them, and like actually build a relationship with them. So, Q1, I spent so much time building my email funnels, building up the nurture campaigns, all those things. And I've automated it because I want to do it once and let it go
Mhm.
to the point now where like I get consistent leads, I get consistent revenue. Like a lot of like for example, like with my affiliate marketing, I do make money from affiliate marketing. And I do have content that is evergreen content,
I'm out
but
of affiliate marketing. For those people who don't know, it's basically where I am recommending you and I get paid for recommending you. And so say that you have a course that's $100, you might pay me like $5 or $20, right? So
Mhm.
that's what affiliate marketing is. Keep going.
Yeah. So I had stopped posting social media content on some affiliate products that I recommend and stuff like that. It's evergreen in the sense that like people, if they do search, then they can find it. So I do get, conversions from there. But I've been noticing that a lot of my conversions recently have been coming through email, and they've been coming consistently through email because I have an automated email sequence to
Mhm.
promote the product that I'm coming from. And some people reach out to me, they're like, hey, I bought I bought this course from you because you mentioned in your email. Like, I also have a gift incentive where like if they buy from my affiliate link, then I give them a special gift, right? As a thank you. So email is where consistency of revenue comes from. It doesn't come from social media because I'm not competing with an algorithm on email. With social media, I am.
So what type of email system are you using?
So my ESP, my email service provider is MailerLite. I highly recommend it for individuals that are trying to start off, but it's a low cost ESP. Like when I started, I was on the free plan for like years, but then there's this little fun fact, like when you grow your email list by a lot, you have to start paying. So that's the cost of growth. Um,
Mhm.
but I really like MailerLite because I was on the free plan for a long time, and eventually like their automations are pretty
Mhm.
easy and simple. And so I mean, I just been with them for so long. Like it's really just like once when you're in a platform and you figure out how it works, and you figure out these features, then I start leveraging dynamic content. I start leveraging like the email automations, things
Mhm.
like that.
That's great. Well, any last questions that I didn't ask, or one last question that I didn't ask that everybody should know about?
I think one thing and an advice that I wish somebody told me earlier is choose the business model that works for you. Like not
Yeah.
don't chase the money, don't chase the fame, don't chase the gurus. Even and question everything because I mentioned earlier like I had a coaching business before I had this. Made a lot of money with it, did great. But it wasn't the business model that I actually loved with. I was so an allure of like they make so much money, like I want to be there. I want to go there. But when I look at like their day-to-day activities, like show me your calendar. Show me like what it is that you're actually doing. Like I don't care how much money you make. I care about how much money are you making for your clients?
Yeah.
How much money are
Mhm.
you actually investing that you're able to invest in other areas of your life, right? And when I built this automated content business, like I'm a big believer in coaching. I used to do it myself, but I could not find anyone who was doing what I was doing. And it took me 3 years. That's why 3 years later, I'm telling you about it on this podcast, because I couldn't find anyone who was building a business that didn't have a large VA team to run and outsource to, that didn't have like very high expense costs to run on their business. Like it was hard. And so like piece by piece, like I spent the past 3 years figuring it out. And I feel like in this day and age where like you can find information like at the tip of your fingers, that's great. But I don't think a lot of people have taken the time to have the creativity to figure things out for themselves. And I couldn't find a course to teach me what I'm doing now. Like I had to figure it out. And I think when you start with your non-negotiables of like my negotiables, non-negotiables are like I don't want sales calls. I don't want a large team. I don't want to be the bottleneck in the business. Like when you have those non-negotiables and you start from there, then you can start creating a business model that works for you. And so all I say is like really question everything, even question my business model. Like it's
Mhm.
not perfect for everyone, but it works well for me.
That is probably one of the deepest pieces of golden nugget because, people who are, there's so many different courses out there. And like, if you want to see how email works, all you have to do is subscribe to a few things and like, I would name drop, but I don't want to do that. Well, like if you're not getting an email every single day, then you need to get somebody else and use that content as it's called a swipe file, which is an example of what they're doing so that you can start to emulate that. But I really like, I love what you just said, because if you are recommending hiring a coach and they say, and this happened to me last year, oh, you can make X amount of dollars by working 4 hours a month. First of all, it's a lie. It's just a lie. And second
Mhm,
of all, like I love that where you're like, show me your calendar. And I also want to say, show me your testimonials. How many students do you have versus how many successful people you have? Because we had somebody that, and I say we, because there's a group of us that are pretty upset and by what these people were saying and
mhm,
promising, and yet there's not one single student, I think, well, actually there's one, maybe two, that actually did what they said that they could do. And so I
mhm,
think that, if you want to become a coach, you really do need to ethically consider what are you offering and really think about that. Because I love how you said, what are the non-negotiables and what do you want to accomplish? Then you actually hit it on the nail. Like I'm on your same ballpark is I don't want, like, that's why I haven't done the coaching program that I was going to do, was because I sat down and I realized I became honest with myself and said, oh, I don't want to have to eat, breathe, drink, sleep, all of this stuff because
mhm,
I'm the type of person that would never want to do what happened to me. And
mhm,
yeah, out in the left field saying, oh, figure it out, watch my videos, it's up to you. And when they promised that you'd have one-on-ones, that you'd have this or that you have that. So I really like it, I cannot stress the importance of what you just said. And you really do have to figure out what are your end goals and what do you want to accomplish before you start.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
didn't mean to get on my soapbox about that, but
Yeah.
so Tina, where do people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
So you can find me at creatorsclub.tinalopez.com. That is my newsletter. We send one collaboration opportunity, one video, blog, really, as well as all that, to really help you automate your content, traffic, and income as a creator. It's a weekly newsletter that I send out, but also it's kind of like entering my world. I do have social media, but I really, it's ironic as a creator, but I really don't spend any of my time on social media. My email list is honestly the best place to reach me. And if you're interested in the daily content generator, happy to share it with your audience as well.
Fantastic. Unbreakable Mompreneurs, I hope that you took the time to listen to this episode and realize that if you hear somebody saying that you have to create something every single day, there are ways around that. And $9, come on, that is not. So, Tina, thank you so much for being on. And moms, go make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.